they've been fighting forever.
Give it your best shot, shrimp.
Now, there's a reason.
She's mine.
Says who? At least you can make peace with the man.
Jack Lemmon,
Idiot.
Walter Mathau, and Margaret, Kevin Pollak, with Daryl Hannah and Burgess Meredith.
Damn kids.
Eat my shorts.
In the comedy you've been waiting for, Grumpy Old Men. Look for it on video cassette.
In a world where podcasts reign supreme, two friends dare to ask, do you even movie? Hosted by filmmaker Henrique Couto and movie aficionado David D. Neuer. Spoiler alert.
Well, hello, my friends, and welcome to another episode, another wintry episode.
Yes.
Of Do You Even Movie? I'm your host, Henrique Couto, here with Double D, David, whatever. I'm adopting Burgess Meredith.
You're adopting Burgess Meredith.
Attitude, mannerisms, really everything except his teeth.
That's fair. I mean, that's totally fair.
So, before we talk about that, I hate to start the show on a really sad note, but I'm gonna. So as I mentioned last time, I went on a vacation.
Yeah.
A work vacation, but a vacation, that's the best you're gonna get for me.
Yeah.
If I go on a work vacation, that's gonna be the best it's gonna get.
Yeah. And
when I came back, unfortunately, I was greeted with the reality that my dog Chicano, it was time for him to go and for me to say goodbye. And so I've been laying low for a week, just kind of recovering from losing him. And it's been really hard because he was just the coolest dog.
He was. He
was my little dude. I got him from a rescue. He was older, so I had him for just under 5 years. It would have been 5 years in March. And he was a fearful, sweet dog that grew to be wonderful to everybody.
Yeah.
He was a wonderful companion to me. He was a friend to many people, many animals, mostly dogs. He kind of liked cats too much.
Yeah, I think he did.
And he wanted to eat like rodents and stuff.
Ferrets especially.
Yeah. But he was a very good dog. He had a 2-year battle with cancer.
Yeah, he did.
And that's a hell of a thing.
Yeah.
We spent a year doing surgeries and then a year of surgeries and chemotherapy. And I don't know, I've had about a week to think about it.
Yeah.
And cancer did not take him. Old age took him. He was no longer able to walk.
Yeah.
He was able to walk with a lot of pain, but he couldn't get up at all. He couldn't stand, he couldn't get up himself. And it was because he had severe arthritis and it got so bad. He had early onset arthritis. He'd had arthritis from the moment I got him.
Yeah.
So I had to make that decision and it was really awful. It was really painful. But it was way worse to let him suffer.
Yeah.
That made me just hate life, watching him lay there in pain. So, and I'm not going to sit here and be like, so now let me describe the euthanasia, but it was really hard. Dave's been a real good pal through it. Appreciate it.
I try, man.
We're
definitely going to miss him. All of us are going to miss him, especially. I mean, I look back here and the fact that he's not behind us right now is just kind of a major bummer, but we have all those memories with him, especially.
He used to hang out behind us while we recorded and take long naps.
Yep.
And that's the hardest part is he's just really absent.
Yeah.
It's hard just when he's not where he would be. Like even in the last month or so when he was really declining, it was like he'd always be snugly in his bed and he'd always be ready to eat dinner.
Yep.
That boy ate till the moment he died though.
When he didn't want to be a butt.
Well, he was on a lot of steroids, so he was very hungry.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it sucks. So I just wanted to say something about it. It's super sad, and I'm trying not to make every day, every minute me talking about my dead dog. But he was a big part of my life. I work from home.
He was.
So I was always with him. And that, made it harder.
Oh, it absolutely did. I think what I always just loved about him was like he would want pets, but he was such a gentle dude that like you had
nervous
to be,
dude.
Yeah, gentle nervous dude that you had to be very precise about like getting him to you first and then being able to pet him. And like if for like the first couple pets, like he would kind of like shake his head.
No,
and then,
he would like flinch, but then be like, "Oh wait, I do like being petted."
All right,
Because
pet me more.
I adopted him when he was 7 years old, and he had been mistreated.
Yeah,
he had been very mistreated and then abandoned.
Yeah.
And I knew taking in a dog his age that he wasn't going to be able to live a very long time.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not stupid.
No.
I'm definitely not delusional about pet ownership.
Yeah.
It crushed me to say goodbye, but I knew I had to.
You had to, yeah.
Like I absolutely never questioned it. In fact, my mom, bless her heart, she was there at the vet. And when we were sitting there with him and he was on his little bed at the vet, my mom was just like, she was just like, you know what they're going to say. And I looked at her, I was like, Mom, I already called them and told them we were euthanizing him.
Yeah.
And my mom was like, oh. And I was like, I know there's no coming back from the way he is.
Yeah.
Like, and I wouldn't want to try. It got to a point where I would just pick him up so that he could walk to the food dish.
Yeah.
And then I'd pick him up so he could walk outside and pee, and he'd fall half the time.
Yeah.
And then I'd pick him up so he could go to bed. And it was like, I gave that more time than I should have, honestly. I gave that about 14 days of him never being able to get himself up. And then I realized like, he's not going to get better.
No.
It's time. He deserves a break. He fought valiantly. That's why
he's a tough dude.
That's why I like to point out, like, cancer didn't take him. Because while he never fully he only had a remission of about 2 months. He fought it off so well, and time just caught up.
Yeah.
That's really what it comes down to. When I was talking to the oncologist after his remission ended, she had told me, she was like, I would just mostly worry about the fact that he is now very, very elderly.
Yeah.
And I was like, you're right. And she was like, have you noticed the way he's walking? I was like, yeah. And she was like, pay attention to that.
Yeah.
Don't worry about this cancer crap anymore. So yeah.
He got all his lovin's. He was the staple of cigar night for a while there. We would all make sure that we gave Chicano our both dogs got our attention, but Chicano especially was just like, he would hang out with us and then he would fuck off.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that is absolutely the way it would go.
Yeah.
So
but we'll miss him.
I'll miss my old man.
He was a very, very good boy, the best boy, tough boy.
He was the toughest boy.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. All right.
Did you say scoot down or scoot around? I couldn't read
I said
it.
scoot toward
me. My bad.
That's no. This is a perfect learnable moment for Do You Even Movie. I sometimes have to write Dave like messages, for the show that we don't want to say out loud. And I literally wrote scoot toward me.
I did scoot down.
Pushed it toward him and he moved away. So if you want to know what it's like being the producer of the show.
Yeah.
But much better.
Yeah.
Okay, so with that all being said, yeah, I'll miss him.
Yeah.
I'll miss I miss so much nearly every day that I would pound the pavement in my office. He would sleep on my feet. I miss that so much. But I didn't even think about it until we sat down to do the show.
Mm-hmm.
This movie's a really great choice because I used to literally call him my grumpy old man.
You did. Yes, you did.
Because he had a grumpy face. He was part chow chow, and I would call it resting chow face. He just looked mad.
He did.
All the time. And even when he was happy. And this, emotion.
You're good.
This film is about what my experience with him was about.
Yeah.
Which is that, I mean, for fuck's sake, he was surrendered because he was old.
Yeah, they even said that on the paperwork.
Yeah, they put his age was the reason for surrender. And he had he had 5 more years after they surrendered him.
Yeah.
And good years. I mean, he really, we went all over the place together. We traveled together. Anyway. But that's kind of my point, is like adopting a senior. And I didn't just adopt one senior dog. I have another senior dog who's, losing her ability to walk right now. And
in front of our table right now.
well, she's taking a very good nap right now.
Production manager.
She's the production manager of the show. But this movie is also about the fact that there's more life to live when you're old, and how some people forget that, especially young people.
Yeah.
We like to not think about the elderly.
No. That unfortunately does happen, yes.
So that all being said, I think Grumpy Old Men, which is a comfort film to me,
Yeah.
a film that brings me a lot of joy, is a perfect film for tonight. So the last thing I'm going to say is I'm just going to miss Chicano so much.
We all are.
He was my good boy.
He was.
And, if you out there viewing, listening to this, if you, drink alcohol to celebrate, drink something for him. If you burn tobacco to celebrate, burn something for him, because he was a damn good dog. And I'm sorry everybody couldn't meet him. I'm sorry everybody in the world couldn't meet him. He was something else. Sorry.
You're good, man.
I took him to Freddy Fest.
Yes, you did.
At the Mahoning Drive-In, the biggest drive-in theater in America. And they showed the original 6 Nightmare on Elm Street movies. And Chicano and I went out there and camped in the car.
Yep.
And I'll never forget, I put him in a Freddy Krueger sweater.
Yeah, you did.
So we were wearing matching Freddy sweaters. And the woman who played Greta in Nightmare on Elm Street 5 was there. And she got up from her table, like left the autograph sightings and just like, can I pet him? And just started petting him. And then was like, who is this?
Yeah, who is this?
What
And
is
asked
his
all about the
name? Tell me
questions.
about him.
Yeah.
And that was just the coolest. So, yeah. So I'm doing the show. I'm in a little bit of pain. I haven't really worked in almost a week, which is insane for me. So Dave.
All right. Want to get into this?
Oh, I thought you were going to take your turn to cry.
I mean,
No.
I can cry. Don't worry. We'll get there.
So Dave, Grumpy Old Men.
Grumpy Old
Tell me
Men.
about the deets.
1993, 1 hour and 43 minutes, PG-13. This film is directed by Donald Petrie. He was an actor that went into directing. He started as an actor in 1976 with One Day at a Time, did The Turning Point in 1977. He was on The Waltons in 78, Incredible Hulk in 78, 8 is Enough in 79, Buck Rogers, The Hearse, Little House on the Prairie, Fort Apache on the Bronze, Falcon Crest in 1983.
All roads lead to Falcon Crest.
Why Me in 1984, Misdirection into 2010, even the film Noah in 2012. He started becoming a director in 80, though. With 85, he did an episode of MacGyver, an episode of Amazing Stories in 85, LA Law, Mystic Pizza was kind of where he started getting his name first out there. Then he followed that with Opportunity Knocks in 1990, Picket Fences 92. 1 year later, he does Grumpy Old Men. Then he does Richie Rich in 94. The Associate.
I actually really like the Richie Rich
I love
movie.
Richie Rich. That may be a future episode because I really love that movie.
I think it's kind of underrated.
I think so too. The
He has
Associate
a McDonald's in his house.
in his house, roller coaster out back.
If
Oh my god!
ever there were a 90s kid concept,
Yeah,
it would be you have a McDonald's in your home. Anyway, yeah.
So The Associate in 96, my favorite Martian film in 99.
I kind of love my favorite Martian
Dude, this
as well.
this is where I love his filmography. Miss Congeniality 2000.
Oh, wow.
How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days in 2003.
These are all really good.
Welcome to Mooseport 2004.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Nope. And then Just My Luck. He goes to work at Lindsay Lohan twice. Just My Luck, 2006. My Life in Ruins, 2009. Chicago Justice, 2017. Chicago Med, 2018. Chicago PD, 2019. So we kind of went to TV after like late 2010s.
And to Chicago.
And to
apparently.
Chicago.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then our writer on this is Mark Steven Johnson. This was his first big writing that he got credit for. Grumpy Old Men in 93. Does Grumpier Old Men in 95. Big Bully in 1996. The Tom Arnold, Rick Moranis movie.
I want to revisit Big Bully so bad.
It's been passing around on Max and in Showtime, I want to say, recently. I don't know if it's still on there now, but yeah, I'd be down for that.
I would love to rewatch that.
Simon Birch in 98, Jack Frost in 98, Daredevil 2003.
He wrote the Mutant Killer Snowman movie?
No, he wrote the Michael Keaton one. Oh, wait. I mean, I guess in both. He is kind of a mutant in that movie.
A little bit.
Elektra 2005, Ghost Rider 2007, Christopher Robin in 2018, Love in a Villa 2022. He also was the director of Simon Birch, director of Daredevil, director of Ghost Rider, When in Rome, Killing Season, Finding Steve McQueen, Love Guaranteed, and Love in a Villa. He started doing some Hallmark stuff in the last like 5-10 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Mark Steven Johnson's our writer. Finishing us off with our background is our cinematographer, Johnny E. Jensen. He was a technician on Woody Allen's Bananas in 71.
Okay, camera tech.
Yeah, camera tech of The Godfather in 72. Goes on to do assistant camera for Dr. Minx in 1975, Texas Detour 78, Altered States in 1980, Cutter's Way in 81, becomes an operator on the Talking Head film Stop Making Sense in 84, but then his cinematographer career kicked in 86 with Shattered Spirits, The Three Kings in 87, Spy in 89, When You Remember Me 1990.
How many movies are just called Spy?
I don't know.
There's got to be at least 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Right?
I would think so. Into the Badlands in 91, Rambling Rose 91, Lost in Yonkers 93, Grumpy Old Men 93, Angie 94, Three Wishes in 95, Rosewood, which is that movie I want to show you from 1997, The Ladies' Man 2000, Morgan's Ferry, the infamous Henry Rollins, Billy Zane Western from 2001.
Say what?
Morgan's Ferry.
No, I heard you, but I didn't hear
Henry Rollins is the villain in it, and I believe Billy Zane's the protagonist.
You've not seen it?
I have not seen it. I've only seen the scene that Henry Rollins talks about in one of his spoken words, where he shows his ass.
Of course you would hunt that down.
Wise Girls 2002, Dragnet, the TV series in 03, Material Girls 06. He also finishes out with Heartland in 2007 and Tribute in 2009. He hasn't really done much since then.
Well, I mean, that's quite a career.
It's a hell of a career, yeah.
Peaking with The Ladies' Man in 2000, though, that's rough.
That's a hell of a movie. So,
God love Saturday Night Live. They'll be like, hey, no one even liked this sketch to begin with, so let's make a feature film out of it.
Superstar, Ladies' Man, it's Pat the movie.
Superstar, the character from Superstar was really popular.
Yeah, but that movie no one remembers.
No.
I think like the only 3 SNL successful movies would be Wayne's World, Night at the Roxbury, because that got a huge cult following. I don't know how well it did in the box office. I'm trying to think of the other one.
Coneheads.
Coneheads, yep.
Yeah, I mean, Wayne's World's so big that people forgot it was an SNL movie.
Yeah.
It was such a massive phenomenon. The first film, that's one we should do on the show sometime.
Absolutely.
Wayne's World's like so good. It holds up bizarrely well.
Even the sequel, I wasn't a big fan of the sequel for a while, and the last couple watches I've had on it, I really liked it.
No, it's actually pretty good. It's the same team as the first one. They did it really well. Dave, we need to get Wayne's World on the docket because I bet you don't know that there is a legend. I'm serious.
Okay.
This is not like a build up to like, just poke in your eye. But no joke. There is an urban legend that the origin of Wayne's World is from Dayton, Ohio.
Shit. Okay.
I'm not going to spoil it until you have no idea.
Yeah.
But
I'm excited now.
But I was around to be told the legend in like giggling whispers in a control room at a television station.
I like that.
And I won't share it today.
Okay.
We'll put Wayne's World on the docket for when the snow melts.
Yep.
And that one's just so good. I could almost So like we watch Dave and I, well, not to shed too much light on, pull the curtain back and show that, show the whole process. But we try to take a fun approach to this show in that we kick back and we watch the film once fresh, and then we come and we sit down and we get in the studio and we do it. When we did Planes, Trains, we didn't even bother watching it.
We didn't.
We didn't need to at all.
We just did.
We'd seen it so many times together alone.
Yep.
And Wayne's World, I'm like, damn, that's almost one I could skip.
Probably do, yeah.
I had it on tape. So anyway, but we're talking about Wayne's World too much. But no, SNL movies.
Few and far between.
But I will say that they have a good way about being cult phenomena.
Yeah.
Like, they have a way about them where, like, the It's Pat movie is actually pretty great.
It's fun. Well, and I was just thinking here, I was like, actually, MacGruber was technically an SNL movie. And
they have a way of failing at the box office while being pretty interesting.
Yeah. The video, the video age absolutely saved some of those, I would say. I'm
pretty sure that those, like, ended every career. Like,
oh, God, Corky Romano. You said career ending, and I'm like, oh, poor.
Please, no, David. Please, no, David.
All right, so getting back to Grumpy Old Men. So our synopsis from IMDb is John and Max are elderly men living next door to each other. They're continuously arguing and insulting each other and have been this way for over 50 years. One day, Ariel moves into across the street, and both men are attracted to her, and their rivalry steps up a gear.
Their rivalry?
Rivalry.
There
rivalry
you go.
Steps up a gear.
Now say revelry.
No. My synopsis is two elderly men in a lifelong feud since childhood worsen their behaviors toward each other with the arrival of a new female neighbor across the street.
That's pretty good. I think your description is good, except skipping over the romantic element a little too fast by just saying a new female neighbor.
Yeah.
I would definitely say, like, they end up in a very unexpected love triangle. But
true.
I think that's I think that's an apt breakdown of Grumpy Old Men. And a lot of these movies, and it's becoming very apparent why you and I are acquaintances.
Yes.
Don't worry, when you're in the hospital, much like Martin, what's his
Jack Lemmon.
No. Well, Jack Lemmon was hospital,
Yeah.
but what's the other actor's name?
Walter Mathau.
Walter Mathau.
Yeah.
Thank you. Much like Walter Mathau, once you're in the hospital and I know you might die, I'll admit to one nurse. I'll admit to one nurse you're my friend.
Yes.
I promise.
That's fair.
I promise you that. But no, you like a lot of movies. Maybe it's because of your older sister or something, but you like a lot of movies that were like right in my era. So like when you start talking about Grumpy Old Men, I'm like, Dave, I remember the TV spots.
Yeah.
You were born in 92. I was born in 86.
Yeah.
So it's like, I remember the TV spots. I remember like, next show we're doing Ravenous.
Mm-hmm.
And I was telling you, I was like, you were saying like, yeah, it seems like they didn't do a good job marketing. I'm like, I remember thinking the trailer was awesome on television, because I was there for a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
But that's a lot of the stuff you're picking. That's the funniest part, is you're the one picking the stuff.
Yeah.
That's like totally my kind of gig.
No, the thing, and I think with our friendship in particular, when it comes to films, is we rely on a lot of cable stays from our days that we repeatedly saw on TV, but also then grew up to love even more than we would have realized.
Well, cable mainstays they're a double-edged sword, because it's like, oh man, I always loved that movie, but also I don't know if I've seen the first 6 minutes more than once.
Yeah.
Like I've seen most of the movie a lot.
Yeah.
And Grumpy Old Men was always on television.
Always on. So our cast in this one, as we mentioned already, Jack Lemmon plays John Gustafson. He had 100 credits on his resume. If you don't know the name Jack Lemmon, I'm very surprised, because, he was even towards the end of his career, he was still pretty active on screen.
People prefer Jack Lime.
Jack Lime. So he starts off in 1949 with the Philco Television Playhouse, It Should Happen to You in 1954, Mr. Roberts in 55, Fire Down Below in 57, Bell, Book and Candle, which is a movie on my list that is a Jimmy Stewart going after a witch, like a dating a witch movie.
Really? That sounds amazing.
Yeah. 1958, Some Like It Hot. 1959, the classic.
Oh my God.
I love Some Like It Hot. Then he goes on to do The Apartment in 1960, The Wackiest Ship in the Army, How to Murder Your Wife, The Fortune Cookie, The Odd Couple, Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In, The Out-of-Towners, Avanti, Save the Tiger, Prisoner of 2nd Avenue, Airport 77, The China Syndrome, Missing, That's Life, Dad, JFK, The Player, Glengarry Glen Ross, Grumpy Old Men, Grumpier Old Men.
I always forget about him and he's so good in Glengarry. Do you think you remember Old Gil on Simpsons?
Yeah.
Hopefully this will be a chance for Old Gil and he gets hit by a car or whatever. Yes. I feel like that character was based on his Glengarry Glen Ross.
It very well could have been,
because he was very like downtrodden. Yeah. And you were like, why is this guy so sad? Like, I mean, his life, his existence, his situation so sad.
So My Fellow Americans in 1996. Have you ever seen My Fellow Americans?
Was he the president?
Yeah, it's him and James Garner. And
I love that.
They're out
movie.
for an the assassination attempt on their lives. So.
I adore that.
Oh,
movie.
It's so good.
Yeah, no, that's a very good film.
Hamlet in 96, Out to Sea, which was the last reuniting of Mathau and Lemmon in 97. They did a remake of 12 Angry Men in 97. The Odd Couple 2. Oh, wait, no, Odd Couple 2 was the last one. Duh.
You think?
Inherit the Wind in 99. Legend of Bagger Vance in 2000. His last movie.
Inherit the Wind was 1999.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing I remember Jack Lemmon for the most. We watched that in high school.
That was the tail end of his career. Was that one for the TV version?
Oh, so that means that was like brand new when they were showing it to us in school.
Probably.
No, he's excellent in Inherit the Wind.
Fantastic film. So our next cast member, one of my and Hen's personal favorites, Walter Mathau, who plays Max Goldman. 107 credits for Mathau, by the way. Beats Lemmon by 7.
And I'm sure he's happy about that.
So
like, fuck you damn Swede.
So he does The Big Story in 1950, Lux Video Theater in 50 as well. Also on the Philco Television Playhouse, which is where those two met.
Okay, that makes sense, yeah.
The Kentuckian in 1955, Indian Fighter 55, Face in the Crowd, King Creole, Voice in the Mirror, Gangster Story in 59.
King Creole.
That was Creole or Creole?
It's okay, you probably shouldn't say the word Creole anyway.
Yeah,
let's just keep moving unless you're talking about food.
Strangers When We Meet in 1960. He does Alfred Hitchcock Presents in 81, Lonely Are the Brave in 62, or 61, excuse me, for Presents. Naked City in 62, Charade in 63. One of my favorite roles of his because he plays a villain.
I could see him being a good villain.
He's a very good villain. He also does, it's him, Audrey Hepburn, and God damn it, who was the lead in that one? But that's a really like underrated crime thriller that's got some humor to it. Too.
Yeah, no, I always loved Mathau. But I had this weird thing. The two old men actors that I just thought were the best when I was like, I'm talking young.
Yeah.
Were Walter Mathau and Charles Grodin. I loved them.
Grodin just has a face.
Well, I found Grodin in Beethoven.
Yeah.
And I found Mathau in Dennis the Menace.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like, I always liked them a lot.
No, those two were fantastic. So continues into 1968 with The Odd Couple, Candy in 68 as well, Hello Dolly, Charlie Varick, which is a really, really good crime thriller that I showed my dad a couple of years ago that I think you would like, where Mathau is just a badass.
I would love to watch Mathau be a badass.
Then he goes on to do The Laughing Policeman, another crime thriller, Bruce Dern in 73, The Taking of Pelham 123, the original with Robert Shaw, and that's a really, really good movie as well. Earthquake, The Front Page, Bad News Bears in 76, California Suite.
I love the Bad News Bears.
Bad News Bears
just for the record, nobody can be as apathetic to children's pain as Walter Mathau.
I mean, Billy Bob Thornton did a damn good job in that remake, but...
Oh, no, but he wasn't apathetic to it. He was like, very good, you're bleeding.
Hopscotch in 1980. He does The Survivors in 83, the Robin Williams, Walter Mathau movie I showed you last year.
That was so... What's
so weird?
Who's that movie for? If you out there, if you have not seen Survivors, Survivors, it is literally a comedy about like doomsday militias.
Yeah.
Don't ask me.
Oh, and Robin Williams gets fired by a parrot, and it's probably like one of the funniest scenes in the movie. Oh my God,
it's so funny.
Then he does Pirates in 86, The Cow Trip 88, also in JFK in 91, by the way.
Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Dennis the Menace 93, Grumpy Old Men 93.
Oh, that was the same year.
IQ in 94, where he plays Albert Einstein.
Oh, I remember that movie.
Yeah.
He was an interesting choice for Einstein. He did a good job.
No, he did. Grumpy Old Men in 95, Out to Sea 97, The Odd Couple in 98, and Hanging Up in 2000. They passed, I believe it was 7 days apart. I think Lemmon passed first, and then Mathau passed 7 days after.
Well, Mathau wouldn't allow it any other way.
He wouldn't allow it anyway.
So we have to talk about the credit.
Yeah.
That obviously made all of this movie happen.
Mm-hmm.
The Odd Couple.
The Odd Couple, absolutely. One of my all-time favorite comedies, all-time favorite movies. I actually got to screen it for the Hainer crowd a year ago, and a lot of them had never seen it before.
Wow. For those who don't know, the Hainer is a...
culture center.
That's the word.
Yes.
Wow, white people come up with so many
It's
interesting
the Troy
phrases.
Hayner Cultural Center,
For
literally
for
the
a
name.
place where people watch movies, they're like, this is a culture center.
It's an art place. There.
Yeah.
You have exhibits. You have. It's
I was
going to
say it's like a community space for enjoying entertainment. Yeah.
coming
I
together
was
for
just,
the
I was
arts.
just going to use like a vague term, but no, and you've often helped curate and promote events there.
Yes.
So. Meanwhile, when I do events, I'm just like, we're gonna watch Project Metal Beast. Yeah, you should start giving me once a month at the Hayner.
Oh my God!
It'd just be 3 months in a row, Project Metal Beast. But you see, he's a metal beast, but it's a project that makes him that.
Do you know that's on DVD now? You can actually get a physical copy. It's a burn, of course, but Project Metal Beast is available now.
Oh yeah, but soon it'll be on Blu-ray as the world runs out of movies to be remastered. Then I will get my Project Metal Beast
Or 4K if Vinegar Syndrome keeps pushing.
Probably.
Wouldn't surprise.
But it's important to mention the Odd Couple put them both on the map in show business, gave them both a career. Both of them were were actors who proved later on how good they were.
Their versatility, there is no end to it. I mean, I've seen Lemmon be a very scary guy. I've seen Walter Mathau be a scary guy. I've seen them be complete like heartthrobs for, just the slapstick humor and just overall
heartthrobs for slapstick humor.
Heartthrobs is not the right word.
What?
Whatever. I lost my train of thought.
English, man. No, you guys heard that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, heartthrobs.
Heartthrobs, yes. But no, like, I mean, their versatility just has no ends. I've seen them do roles of all kinds, and they never disappoint. They always just know how to sell a performance and a character, especially.
Yeah. And so Grumpy Old Men was like a huge reunion of them in their older years.
It's actually in my notes, which I was saving for the end, but I'll tell you now. This was originally supposed to be Dean Martin and Frank Sinatra, but their healths were failing towards this point,
and they kind of sucked.
I didn't feel like they had this buddy. I mean, like, they had the Rat Pack, of course.
Oh no, I get why they wanted them, but and I'm sorry to say they sucked. They didn't suck, but like Sinatra's a singer, who did some acting.
My apologies. No, Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis. That makes way more sense.
No, that makes total sense.
Yeah, my apologies.
This freaking guy made me look like a jerk. No, that makes perfect sense. That would have totally been
they were
interesting.
strongly considered for roles, but declined due to Martin's frail health, which prevented him from taking the role.
I mean, it makes sense. He was very up there, and Mathau. I'm sorry.
At this point in Jerry Lewis's career, there's a movie that I love that I just discovered last year called Funny Bones that Lewis is a big part of, but I don't really think he was doing much around this time.
Well, he kind of... Look, Dave. America, shockingly, got tired of making fun of women in the mentally challenged.
Yeah.
So Jerry Lewis kind of lost his... there's that whole joke. When I was growing up, the joke always was... The French love Jerry Lewis.
Yeah.
That's why he's there now.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, there's a lot to like about Jerry Lewis's career and his performances.
Oh, he's got some great movies.
And I think that would have been a great swan song for them.
Yeah.
But there's something about this film that is so masterfully effortless.
Yeah.
It is so easy to watch them interact.
Yeah.
Like
the camera's not even there. It's just them being curmudgeon-y pals.
In the outtakes at the end of the film, there's a part where Mathau they're filming his close-up where he's saying,
Goodbye.
He's watching them drive away.
Yeah.
And Lemmon decided to like lean into the frame and be like, "Who's leaving?" And Mathau's just like
and then just wipes a tear.
Yeah, he wipes a tear from his eye because he thought that was so funny.
Yeah.
Because they're serious actors. So he was really getting himself in the moment and imagining everything to do the performance. And then all of a sudden Lemmon just leans in. And
who's leaving?
And then it just clicks with him that he's like, oh my God. and I just love that. I don't even get the vibe that they're friends. I get the vibe that it's deeper than that.
I could see that. No, absolutely.
But we can expand on that more as we talk about the film.
Yeah, and getting into the last of our credits, we have Anne Margaret, who plays Ariel Truax on this. She was a singer on the Jack Benny program in 1961, goes on to do American Bandstand 61. She performed at the 34th Academy Awards in 1962.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ed Sullivan Show in 63, The Flintstones in 63. She also got the Anne Margaret Show in 68. This is all of her singing career. Her acting was taken off in the background as well, too, but she She was also singing while she was acting for the most part. She did Pocketful of Miracles in 61, State Fair, Viva Las Vegas, The Cincinnati Kid, Stagecoach, The Cheap Detective, 52 Pickup in 1986, which is a really, really good crime thriller with Roy Schreider, John Glover, and Margaret. Really, I'm going to show you that one.
And
soon.
Margaret's in that, huh?
Yeah. New Life in 88, Newsies in 92, does Grumpy Old Men in 93, Scarlet, which is the sequel to Gone with the Wind for TV in 94, Grumpier Old Men in 95. She does Blue Rodeo in 96, Any Given Sunday in 99, Touched by an Angel 2000, The 10th Kingdom 2000, Taxi, the remake of the Taxi series in 2004.
Oh,
The Breakup
wow.
in 2006, The Santa Claus 3, Ray Donovan, Going in Style.
Oh, she was on Ray Donovan.
She was on Ray Donovan,
I
yeah.
remember that.
Happy, the Christopher Meloni cartoon, the crazy cartoon rabbit show.
Oh,
that was
yeah.
on 2019.
Yeah.
And Holiday Spectacular, a Hallmark thing she just did recently in 2022.
Oh, well, good.
So
I'm
she's
glad to
still-
see she's still kicking around.
Still going at it.
Good.
So,
Yeah, very good.
when did you first come into Grumpy Old Men?
Well, it's a very personal question.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it was on TV
Endlessly.
and, well, see, youngin'. Let me tell you something about life in the olden days.
Okay.
When I was but a boy, Grumpy Old Men was on HBO.
Oh, yeah. That would make
I was not
sense.
watching it on Comedy Central. That was me in high school. It was on
TNT
Comedy
and
Central.
CBS is where it was
I
always.
never saw it on those channels at all.
It was always
so
there when I was growing up.
But I remember my mother just laughing her ass off at this movie. She loved The Odd Couple.
Yeah.
So she wanted to watch it. We might have even rented it. That I don't, but I would have been in 93, I would have been 6.
Yeah.
Or something like that. I'm not a math technician, okay? I'm a heartthrob for math.
Heartthrob for
Dave.
math.
Yeah.
Go fuck yourself.
Enrique is right and also handsome.
I'll take that for now.
but no. So I remember catching it on HBO often and really enjoying it. That's
Yeah.
also where I saw the Dennis the Menace movie all the time.
That makes sense.
Was
yeah.
on HBO because they were newer movies.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd always gotten a kick out of it. I remember when I got older, like in my late teens and stuff, being like, wow, this is really good. Like, this is very, very funny, like
Yeah.
outwardly funny. And then when I revisited it for the first time as an adult, probably when I was like 29 or 30, I lost it. I could not believe how funny it was and
Yeah.
how heart-wrenching it was.
Oh, yeah.
So that was my experience with it. But what about you?
So, like I said earlier, this was on cable all the time growing up. So my parents were always watching it. I would catch it in random spots. And usually we would watch the whole thing. But it wasn't until like about 2015 or so, I had gotten a really, really bad flu, and I was going home from work, and I had to stop and get a couple things. And it just so happened that it had to have been Walmart, because I don't know where else there would have been a bin of Blu-rays. Although it may have been a Kroger. It probably wasn't Kroger, but there was just a thing of Blu-rays out, and I was like,
Kroger did not carry Blu-rays long.
It wasn't like a regular thing. It was like these little sale boxes they would have like throughout the aisles and whatnot.
Oh, yeah, I got you.
And I remember like I was grabbing my crackers and my ginger ale and whatever the hell else I needed before I went home and hermited. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to see if there's a movie in here. And I saw Grumpy Old Men double pack. And I was like, I haven't seen that in forever. So I took it home and, I'm trying to heal from a flu and whatnot. And I'm watching Grumpy Old Men, and I immediately finished it and went into Grumpy Old Men because I had such a damn good time with it. It's such a sweet movie. And it's so much fun. And also, it just completely gets you in that winter mood.
It's a perfect winter movie. It takes place in Minnesota, Wabash, Wabasha, Minnesota. And it was shot in Minnesota.
Yeah.
And so it's all tons of snow, plows, ice fishing.
Yeah.
It's just very that
and
way.
a great supporting cast of Daryl Hannah, Kevin Pollak, Ozzie Davis, and even Christopher McDonald shows up at one point too. Plus, you have Burgess Meredith as the grandfather.
He's the best.
This movie is just so much
He's
fun.
not as the grandfather. He's just the father. Because our main characters are elderly.
Yeah, that's right. Well, they call him Grandpa Gustafson.
I love that, and that's one of the best parts of this movie is that Jack Lemmon's character is stomping around. He's like, "Is Dad out there today?" And you're like, "Dad?"
Yeah.
And it's Burgess Meredith, old as hell.
Yeah.
And twice as ornery as usual.
Portraying 94 years old, he was 85 at the time of this role.
Wow. Yeah, he was. He must not have been kicking around much longer
He's
after
only
that.
17 years younger than Lemmon.
Wow. I believe that, though.
Yeah.
I believe that.
All right, so we ready to break down Grumpy Old Men?
I mean, sure.
All right, so we open with a beautiful shot of an ice fishing tent. As the train rolls through Wabasha, we see the town is just snow-covered. We're in Rock Island, Wabasha, and we meet John Gustafson, and he is trying to flee his home because there's a gentleman outside his house knocking on the door from the IRS. And
Well, first of all, that's no gentleman. That's an agent of the federal government.
Yeah, no gentleman at all.
And let's just understand, as your style guide,
Lifestyle coach.
lifestyle coach style guide of the program, you don't trust a Fed.
Nah.
A Fed is a Fed is a Fed.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So he's fleeing from his house. He goes out the window, goes down the side of his roof, and he sneaks out the back. And that's when he runs into Max, who's asking him what he's doing. He's like, shh, keep it down, keep it down. And they walk around the side of the house together, and that's when Mr. Snyder from the IRS comes up to them. He's like, have you seen John Gustafson? And that's when we get to see how much Max thinks of him, because he's like, oh, yeah, he hasn't been around lately. You might want to check the clubs. The clubs where men dance.
Yeah, he said those pervert clubs.
Pervert
the
clubs.
ones where the men take off their clothes. And that's great because Jack Lemmon standing right next to him. But here's the thing: it's a perfect establishment of their relationship.
Yeah.
Because what he's actually doing is covering for him, but he's just busting his balls while he does it.
Yeah.
So he's like, oh, because remember he says he's like, and that's just what he does if he's taking his medicine. If he's not taking his medicine, he's probably wandering around talking to trees or something.
Yeah.
It's so good. It's such a great.
So
such a
Snyder
great moment.
hands him his card, and he's like, when you see him, make sure he contacts me. And John takes the card. He's like, oh yeah, I will. And they walk off. Watch him slip in the ice, which I love.
Oh
too.
yeah, it's so good. Like, oh yeah, it's slick out there.
So they notice that someone's moving in across the street as they see movers unloading a truck. There's some sculptures, there's some paintings, but they don't see the homeowner yet. So John returns to his home and he finds the letter that Snyder left under his door, which basically says he has 30 days to pay or he's going to have to vacate the premises because they're taking the house
Yeah,
back.
it's his final notice.
So the two are awoken late that night by sounds of a skidoo going up and down the street at 1:44 in the morning. They go to their window and watch the rider pull up in front of the house and takes off her helmet to reveal Ariel, the new neighbor.
Yes,
Played by Anne Margaret.
Yeah, and it's a very surprising moment because Lemon's just like, who's making all that annoying racket? And then she pulls the helmet off and you see the big red hair.
Yep.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
So the next morning, John and Max brush off their cars and they're discussing their families. And Max tells them that his son Jacob's coming over later, and John tells him that Melanie will be coming over and they should make sure they have the two meet. And we see Ariel come out of her house and she gets into her Jeep and drives off. John goes to visit Chuck, who is his buddy who owns the general store near the lake where they ice fish.
Played by Ozzie Davis. And played effortlessly, wonderfully by Ozzie Davis.
Yeah.
Ozzie Davis, an incredible character actor. Probably more credits than both of them combined, honestly. He also lived a lot longer than they did.
Surprised me. Let me check.
Ozzie Davis, just straight up GOAT. MVP. I mean, most people remember him. He has a very memorable moment in what
113 credits.
Dang.
Yeah, so
All
he
right.
beats both of them.
Yeah, I believe it. But he was in Bubba Hotep, which a lot of people, because that was a very memorable role. He plays, for those who've never seen Bubba Hotep, he plays John F. Kennedy, the president, who was never killed. Instead, they took a piece of his brain and then, and I'm quoting the movie, they dyed his skin black so no one would believe him. And stuck him in a nursing home.
That's so good. God, if you haven't seen Bubba Hotep, this is the year that you need to see Bubba Hotep because it just celebrated its 20th anniversary, I think it was.
I think that was last year.
Yeah, last year. Yeah.
And Dave, I can't recommend enough seeing it at the drive-in with Joe Bob Briggs hosting it if you can, Dave.
Rude.
Why are you so mad?
Rude.
Why are you so mad?
Because I want to go to a jamboree just once.
Well,
I'm going to have to win the lottery.
They're not that expensive.
They're expensive if you want to do all the things.
Hey, I only did 2.
Yeah,
I didn't do the third one in Vegas.
So Chuck is talking to John, and John gets his beer and his worms to go fishing. He then drives to the lake and meets his father, who is Grandpa Gustafson, played by Burgess Meredith. And my God, this is one of his best roles.
Oh, you can tell he is having a time. He is just going ham.
Smoking cigarettes, but throwing out innuendos. And of course, John tells him about the new neighbor. And Gustafson says, "What, are you too young? Why don't you go after her?"
Well, no, the first thing he says it's a woman moved into the so-and-so house. And he goes, "Did you mount her? Did you mount her? Did you mount her?"
Yep.
I'm saying it again so that everybody can understand. His first question was, "Did you mount her?"
In that Meredith way that he can only say it.
Well, he literally can't help it. There may be something horribly wrong with him.
Just maybe. So the two return home the same time as Max is bragging and showing off this huge line of fish that he caught while John just got like this measly one.
2.
Yeah, measly 2. And John retaliates then by taking one of the fish off the line and putting it right into the back seat of Max's car.
Which, honestly, with how cold it was in Minnesota, I feel like it would have taken a really long time to
For it to
stink,
start,
but
yeah.
that's just me.
So later that night, there's a knock on the door, which makes John think that Snyder is back. So he goes to his window, sneaks out on the roof, except he slips off the roof, falling down into the snow right in front of Ariel, who smiles at him. And he tries to explain himself, but she just asks if she can come inside and use the bathroom, boasting that she can tell a lot about a person just by seeing their bathroom.
I suppose that's true.
I would think so.
I mean, your bathroom says a lot about you.
I mean, it used to before we took care of all the nautical theme to it.
You took care of the nautical theme?
You don't remember when we redid what the bathroom looked like older versus now? When we redid it a year and a half ago?
I apologize. I don't subscribe to your bathroom blog.
You helped me move in.
Don't remind me. I should have never done. I should only, from now on, David, I'll only help you move if you're moving out of the state.
Out, yes, there we go. So she returns telling him that it's fascinating, asking him if he'd like to introduce himself, and she says that she already knows his name and admits to stealing his mail to learn a little bit more about him, but there's nothing there to learn.
It's not a big confession. She's just like, I went through your mail. It's a really good way to get to know somebody.
Yeah. So she makes herself comfortable sitting down at his chess table and telling him that she teaches classic literature, and before introducing herself to him as Ariel, she explains that her past, she was a teacher, that she's just moved to the area to continue teaching classic literature as well. And she also questions if he's heterosexual or homosexual.
Yeah, because when she finds out he's single, she goes, heterosexual or homosexual?
Yeah, which stifles him for a bit.
He's just like, what? Yeah, and it should be mentioned, she is like the epitome of from California.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, she is a free spirit, and she doesn't stop talking for like the moment that they start meeting inside his house, and then like when he finally gets the words in, like she still continues the conversation for him.
Yeah.
So the two briefly talk before John walks her out, and before returning to Ariel, he makes a chess move because she calls one out as she's walking away. And so he goes to the board and makes the move that she called.
Yeah, it becomes very clear that they have a lot in common.
Yeah.
Interest-wise.
Yeah.
And a lot in common life-wise.
Their personalities mesh really well. So we next see John and Max both at the local pharmacy. They're comparing their various illnesses that they've had between
their pains
and whatnot.
I had a gallstone size of a baseball.
So then Ariel walks in, introducing herself to Max and returning some of his mail that she accidentally got as well.
Yeah, quote unquote, accidentally.
She questions the pharmacist if her herbal supplements have arrived yet. The pharmacist confirms that they have, all the way from California, which kind of annoys the pharmacist's wife, who's off to the side, because he just kind of puts all his attention
because
to her.
He's giving her like googly eyes.
Yeah.
He's very interested in her tea tree oil.
Tea tree oils, yes. So she excuses herself, and we see John and Max pawning over her once again. We next see John having movers remove his piano as his daughter Mel, who is played by Daryl Hannah, arrives with her granddaughter. Mel tells her father that her and her husband are having some issues, and they're probably going to separate, and the two discussion is broken up by Ariel, who screams emerging from her sauna in the backyard, and she's just having a good time diving into the snow.
You don't even mention she's in a one-piece
swimsuit, yeah.
So she's in a swimsuit, jumps into the snow and is like throwing it in her face and going, whoa!
And waves at them.
Yeah, and then she goes, hi, because she's like, who is that? He's like, I don't know. And she's like, well, she knows you.
She knows you.
Like, hi!
So she covers herself in snow, then runs back into the sauna. Later that night, Jacob, Max's son, stops him with his mayoral candidate sign, and Max tells him that he should stop in for a bit and have dinner, but Jacob says that he's busy and he can't, and Max is like, oh, just one drink. We can have one drink.
But it's telling about how lonely Mathau is.
Yeah.
It is very telling that his son doesn't spend a ton of time with him. Although it's not like his son's a loaf. He's got aspirations. He wants to be the mayor of a little town that he grew up in and stuff. But yeah, it's very kind of sad, but also kind of sweet how he's just like, okay, just a drink, a little tiny drink.
Just a little tiny drink. But that's broken up because Max realizes he has to keep his schedule as he goes to the window, which is right across from John's house. And John's sitting down with his dinner, getting ready to watch the lottery numbers come out. Yeah. And Max starts changing his channels as the numbers start dropping.
We find out just a little bit sooner or a little bit later that he was a TV repairman.
Yeah.
And he literally has a little tray full of television remotes so that he can go over there and just and changes. So as they're reading the numbers, he just changes the channel over. My favorite thing was that they had the most obnoxious commercials. And I was able to turn to you and be like, David,
those are real.
Every single one of those commercials, they were like Pizza Hut commercials and stuff like that. They were all legit. I remember all of those commercials running. They were mostly from 92.
Yeah.
So 92 was like a peak time for me of like growing into watching TV. Terminator 2 was coming out, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, because there's one of the commercials is a Pizza Hut commercial where they're doing a conga line.
Yeah.
And they smush a kid. It's like the joke in it. And I just felt the need to tell you because they were showing the most bizarre ones. So I was like, Dave, those are all real commercials that were actually on the air.
So Jacob questions if John started every fight since 1940, but Max corrects him. 1938 is when the fight started.
1938.
So Jacob goes to open the window, calling to John and for his father to apologize, but as Max goes to the window, he gets blasted by a hose as John blasts him from the yard across the way. Jacob then goes outside later as he's leaving his dad's house and sees John is spraying the roof with water so that it'll fall on him the next day from the snow, and tells him he won't tell his dad that if he agrees to take one of his signs and puts it in his yard.
Which then gives you a really good concept of Gustafsson because he's like, I'd be proud to. Like, he likes him.
Yeah.
He really does like him. And that's very, very apparent.
Yeah.
It's just that him and his dad have this long-standing rivalry.
Yeah.
And I mean long-standing.
Long-standing.
It's 1993. They're talking about 1958 or some stuff. So, like, it's very long-standing. And but I love the interactions with
Kevin Pollak.
Kevin Pollak is the son. I think he's just a really good example of like the level-headed nature of the kids and how the dads they're bored and they're stir crazy.
Yeah.
And that makes them be a little bit more childish at times.
Well, and even if they're curmudgeon-y, like they're still friendly to one another, even if their greeting is "Hello, dickhead," "Hello, schmuck,"
"Hello, putz." My favorite is when he's like, "You dumb Swede."
Yeah. So the next morning, John plans backfires as the snow from the roof misses Max, and he tells him, you got to use warm water. John then says that he'll never get him. He then goes to his car, finds the dead fish, but he's trying to... he doesn't find the dead fish. He starts smelling in the car as he's driving, and this is terrifying because Mathau's reaching back behind him as he's driving this car, swerving all over the road.
Iced over roads. Another thing I love was that they depict the roads as never clear of snow.
Never clear.
I know there's a plow going around, but all the plow does is make sure your car is covered in snow.
Buried in.
Yeah.
So he's trying to remove it, just causing havoc on the road as he drives over. Max gets to Chuck's general store, and John shortly arrives after, telling him that Ariel came to see him late last night. John and Max both state to each other that neither of them want to pursue her until Chuck basically calls them on their bullshit and claims that they're both chickens, stating, you got a beautiful woman across the street. What more are you waiting for?
What would you? Yeah, why wouldn't you?
Yeah. So the three go to leave, and Max questions Chuck if he if he stinks, and Chuck says, yep, just joking with him. So then we see Max get back into his car, which is now decked out with every air freshener possible.
Yeah, there's like a forest of tree-shaped air fresheners.
He digs around in the back, fighting the fish, and John is watching from his car as he drives past, and that's when Max chucks the fish at the car, and John calls him a schmuck, throwing the fish, and it hits the back of the car as he drives on.
And that's the thing, is they like so effortlessly are like at each other.
Yeah.
All the time. Very, very funny. Their reactions are very like, well, it's my turn now.
Yeah.
Well, it's my turn now. That's one of the things I loved was when Mathau was telling his son, like, he doesn't know it's me doing it. And he's like changing the channel. Then when he goes to apologize, make his dad apologize, he opens the window. He sprays him the hose because it's like, who else would screw with him? He knows it's you. It's so clear. I love that gag. I love it.
So back in his ice shanty, Max fishes, and he starts to see a bite on his rod, which he's not holding.
Whoa.
No,
that's a very
fishing
personal
rod.
issue. Oh, okay.
Fishing pole, fishing rod.
Whoa.
Which is pulled into the lake because he can't get to it in time. So he rushes out and starts searching the ice, trying to find his rod as it's going through the ice. John and his father arrive into the supply truck around the area, and they witness Max just hacking away at the ice with an axe. After like 2 or 3 swings, he just gives up.
Well, and it should be mentioned, so I just got back from being up in northern Michigan, and it was just ice fishing season was probably going to start like 3 days after I left because it had just finally gotten really cold.
Yeah.
And I've been out on ice fishing lakes. I never went ice fishing, but I've been on different sized lakes.
Yeah.
I now know why in movies and depictions of ice fishing, people like try to reach and grab and get stuff. Those lakes are not deep at all.
Okay.
A lot of times their deepest point is like 6 or 7 feet.
Oh, that's not bad.
So, because lakes just aren't that deep in general. I mean, some lakes will be 10 feet deep, But I remember when I was on Houghton Lake, which is a giant lake in Michigan.
Yeah.
And because that's where I went snowmobiling. The lady was telling us like, the deepest point is maybe 12 feet, but most of it is 4 to 6. So like when cars would fall through the ice, which didn't happen very often unless people didn't pay attention to the reports in the morning.
Yeah.
But when cars would fall through, they'd be like, well, as soon as the ice thaws, like they can get it out. It's not that deep.
Yeah.
So it does make sense to try to rescue something because it's not like there's this feeling, especially I've always had, that like the ice hole is just the abyss and you will never get anything that falls through it back. But apparently, like in reality, it's just a shallow lake.
That's good to know, though. Especially since that one video we were watching, which turned out to be fake, but that car falling through the ice with the recorder.
Sorry, I ruined that video was a fraud.
It was a fraud, and now I'm sad.
Well, see, it's a win for me.
That is true. So at the house, Jacob helps Mel with the groceries as they reminisce some, and Mel admitting she saw Jacob watching her all those years when they were growing up across the street from each other, and why did he never ask her out?
There is heavy duty will they, won't they between Pollock and Daryl Hannah's character, who we've already been established that she is separated from her husband, has a beautiful daughter, and is sweet as fucking sugar. You know, like she's so kind. There's like her rapport with Jack Lemmon. It makes it very clear that Lemon's character was always much sweeter and much more caring. But if you look at their backstory, it actually makes sense. Lemon, school teacher. That means he liked being around children. That means that he liked kids in general. They start to hint at that his marriage wasn't that great. But he was still a very happy person. He's very active in his daughter's life. He loves his granddaughter.
He
absolutely adores his granddaughter.
He's always excited to see her.
But then you look at Mathau's character. He was a television repairman. That's a little bit more of a solitary technical job. So he's a little bit more solitary and a little bit more technical. He likes to sit around his house, watch the boob tube, eat a little something. He does like to see his son, but his son is very like him. He's very like kind of buttoned up and a little bit whatever. But we also get the reference to the idea that his marriage was actually very good. And that he loved his wife very much. And that kind of like hits you in the heart pretty hard.
No, it absolutely does. I mean, that's their relationship even more so drives that because even though they're at each other's necks all the time, like they do care, and we see that more as the movie goes. So John breaks them up asking about the turkey because we find out that it's Thanksgiving Day. Mel runs into the house because he said, "Is the turkey supposed to be smoking?" That's one of my favorite lines.
Yeah, is the turkey supposed to be smoking?
So John then tells Jacob that they're getting a divorce and asks if he's pursuing anybody. He just kind of throws that out there.
Oh, yeah, he's very sly. Jack Lemmon all but says, "Give me a goat and you can have my daughter." Yeah, just barely.
So before changing the subject to Ariel and admitting he hasn't had sex in 15 years, which you caught, that was probably an improvisation because the way that Pollock responds, he looks like he's breaking.
Yeah, no. He just slaps his hand on Pollock's shoulder and just goes, "I haven't had sex in 15 years," and then walks away. And Pollock is clearly about to break. I really think that was just a tag at the end of the scene he added.
I absolutely do too.
Because Pollock, I love Kevin Pollock, right?
Yeah, Kevin Pollock.
I love him. I think he's extremely underrated. And the look on his face just looks so much like the interviews with him and stuff where he's legitimately laughing about something. So that was a great example. But then when we see at the end, when we see the outtakes, we realize it was a very improvisational set. So I think that's like one of those top 10 moments of the whole movie.
All right, so we next see the two families celebrating Thanksgiving at their homes and witnessing Chuck pull up with flowers as he goes across the street to Ariel's house as she invites him in.
Which is important because although it is subtext, Kevin Pollock's character is a vampire.
So they can't believe it, and it was we see them the next day both racing to Chuck's general store to question him. Chuck tells them that there are some experiences too beautiful to put into words before he even tells them that he's not talking about sex. He's just talking about the time that they were able to share together and how she opened him back up.
She made him feel like he was a man, and he basically, to me, I got the vibe that what he's saying is she just gave him good company. She just laughed at his jokes and enjoyed hanging out with him. But they're pretty positive. They're like, so you had sex, huh?
Yeah.
And he's like, no,
we didn't.
And then they're like, couldn't get it
Couldn't
up.
get it
huh?
up. Yeah, they ask him about his equipment. Was it working right? And Chuck tells him it was an awakening, like being young again, if only for a moment. They go to leave, as Chuck mentions, it's not just a woman across the street. She's an angel.
And it's very sweet.
It's very sweet. So we then cut to a montage of both John and Max grooming themselves separately. That we've got Walter Mathau in the tub, and he's scrubbing himself.
Oh my God, he's got like a soap on a stick or something, and he is just going to town. Because I remember when that scene started, I was like, get in there, get in there, get it all clean.
And John's across the street doing his shaving, and then his aftershave. He does the Home Alone.
Yeah, he's like because they show him shaving against the grain and then checking how smooth it is, which means it's gonna really burn when you put on that aftershave.
So we find Max at Ariel's house as she shows off her home to him and the art that she has. Max finds her TV is gutted with a fishbowl inside of it, and he questions why she did that.
It deeply bothers him. He's like, "That's a Zenith, whatever." I'm like, "That's a classic. I could fix it for you if you want. That's what I used to do."
Yeah.
I love that whole exchange. And then she's like, "No, I like it the way it is now." And then as she's walking away, he's just like, how do you watch a show on this? Yeah, it's so good.
So he wanders further in the house and comes across a statue of a nude man as Ariel tells him that was her husband, and he has since passed on. Across the street, though, we see John watching the house and the clock, just trying to figure out how long the Mathau character's been over there.
Yeah, he's been like obsessed with this woman pretty deeply, but he doesn't want to admit it. But he is.
So Ariel asks Max, what does he do for his form of release? First asking if he does any painting or anything, and Max tells her that he fishes and even invites Ariel out to his ice shanty tomorrow. We watch them split for the night as John watches again from his window across the street, and the next day they go to his ice shanty, Max and Ariel, and we see them having fun. They're fishing, they're struggling to pull the rod in, but just still having a great time, laughing, and alerting everybody on the lake that like something is going on.
It sure sounds like they're making whoopee.
Yeah.
To use a term as old as Mathau himself.
Yeah.
And then after catching the fish, they catch a really big fish.
Big fish.
And she insists on throwing it back.
Yep.
And it plops back into the water before he can even take a photo.
Yeah, he wants to get his camera, so he's rushing around, gets the camera, and she's like, oh, here we go, and just puts the fish back in.
Because he always gave Jack Lemmon's character crap because he would claim that he caught this really big fish, but there's no evidence. Yeah.
So Max can't get the picture in time before she sets it back free. John goes over to his dad's shack, finding his father that had found Max's old fishing rod, but also one of my favorite Burgess Meredith moments as he opens the door. He's like, oh, what's going on? Just finishing breakfast as he has the flask of
whiskey. He's just drinking whiskey.
So he
colder than a witch's titty out here, isn't it?
He finds that his dad found Max's old rod, so he takes it and he's going back to goes back to give it to Chuck, but he finds that Chuck's back door is locked. So he walks around front and he finds a cop putting a closed sign on the door, walking away and locking it.
And that's when we begin to know. I mean, he knows immediately because there's a whole scene at the beginning of the film where they're scraping their cars.
Yeah,
Lemmon and Mathau. And they're scraping their cars and literally just talking about all the people who are dead.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, this friend died and this friend died and this friend. Because that's a harsh reality of being an older person. Is your friends they don't live forever. They pass away, and it's a hard reality.
No, it absolutely is. We find Max and Ariel returning to her home as she tells them they're going to be great friends.
Friends is good.
Yeah, Friends is good.
Yeah, he takes it pretty well, I think.
He does.
Yeah.
So Max asks what she's doing later, but she tells him that she has plans, but they'll get a rain check. Max goes home, finding John in his backyard chopping wood, and he tells him that Chuck passed his last night in his sleep. The two then get into it verbally about who was the better friend to him. They cross their fences, coming face to face before John says, it's not worth it, and he returns home, stating that it's not worth it, and he catches sight of Max's rod on the table, which he then picks up and snaps in half.
Yeah, which is like a really sad, like a really clear moment where it's like feelings are hurt, people are hurt, things are not they're complicated.
So Max returns home angry as well, and he finds a hat from Chuck's store on it and kind of takes a second. A knock rings out on John's door as he comes face to face with Mr. Snyder, requesting for him to accompany him to the office.
I love the part where he sees Chuck's hat, because that's the moment where you actually get the idea that they do mourn their friends. It's just different because your friends are passing away so often.
Yeah.
Because he just looks at the hat and he takes a breath and he goes, Chuck.
He takes it in for a second and you just kind of see that wash over him.
No, it's a really great, it's a great, simple, moment that adds a lot to the scene. But yeah, so now he's no longer able to hide from the IRS.
Yeah.
And consistently, his daughter has asked, like, is something wrong?
Something
Are you
wrong.
upset? Is something bothering you? And he's always like, no. And I got to say, because we're almost to it, but when we get to why the IRS is trying to ruin his life, I mean, I couldn't hate the IRS more if I tried, but they nearly got me to hate him more.
So John returns home later to find someone is in his home. He arms himself with a baseball bat, enters the kitchen to find Ariel cooking for him, and we see the two of them sitting down to a nice dinner.
There's no evidence she was cooking. The only evidence is she was burning some garlic for him.
And the peppers.
Well, the peppers can be put in early.
Yeah.
Kids.
Oh, God.
Kids. She has a wok. She makes him like Asian food. And
they're having Szechuan, yes.
Szechuan, that's what it was. Thank you. And literally, though, the first thing you see is she's got this wok on the burner, and she throws a bunch of garlic in. You never put garlic first; it'll burn. Garlic has to go last in a wok stir fry so that it doesn't burn. You could put shallots in earlier or onions, but never garlic. It's going to burn right away. And that was the first thing someone went up there. I was like, oh, she's burning garlic for him. How nice.
So we see them having dinner, sitting at dinner, having a nice time. The next day, John questions his dad if he should go after her, and his dad tells him, "You're not getting any younger." And we then see him and Ariel riding past on the Ski-Doo through the snow as he takes her to the top of the hill, viewing Wabasha. Ariel tells him it reminds her of one of the last trips she took with her husband before falling back into the snow and making a snow angel, which then he joins her, and it's a really super cute moment.
So cute. No, I love their romance in this. I really do.
He even questions if she believes in angels, and she tells him they're everywhere, and he states he thinks that he's looking at one right now.
Oh, swoon.
We next see Max at home watching TV, looking a bit miserable as across the street he sees the lights on, and Ariel and John are facing each other playing chess. She gets up and begins looking at his various framed pictures on his mantles, and he tells her about the family, coming to a young picture of Max and John at age 10, confessing that their rivalry started over a woman.
Yes, because they were best buddies before that. They're both holding their fishing rods on a frozen lake.
Yeah.
It's very cute, but yeah, and then it all starts to make sense. It all started because of a woman. He even says, though, but what is it, like, I was just a kid. I didn't know any better. And then, of course, smooth transition, though. This guy knows he's an operator.
So
because he says, "Oh, I'm not a kid anymore."
They go in for a kiss as Ariel stops him for a second, stating that it's time for bed, and thinking that she's leaving. Yeah.
I think it's time for bed.
Thinking she's leaving, John follows her to the door, but she locks his door and leads away up the stairs. And John tells her that he's nervous, and Ariel questions, "Well, when's the last time that you made love?"
Well, he doesn't say I'm nervous. He says, "Aren't we? I'm not prepared."
Not prepared,
I mean, I've been told you're supposed to have safe sex. And she says, "When's the last time you made love?" And he's like, "October 5th, 1978 or 72 or whatever."
72,
yeah. And she's like, "Well, I haven't had sex in 5 years.
I think we'll be plenty safe. Or something is what she said.
I think we're going to be very safe." Yeah. It's very, very funny scene.
So the next morning, we see Max going across the street to Ariel's with flowers as she emerges from John's house, catching him, thanking him for the flowers. He returns home frustrated as John is getting up and having a great morning, dancing to Good Lovin'. He's in his underwear, making breakfast, even adding hot sauce to the breakfast.
Yeah, and he's referenced how hot sauce will make him struggle, you know.
And I want to point out this scene because this is what I was talking to you when we were watching it. I just love this because this is the first time that we see him cooking, not making a TV dinner or anything like that. Like, this is just him loving his life, having a nice breakfast, and he's just feeling the morning.
Yeah, I would have to agree. It's one of the few times where he seems like he's really living and not just existing.
So he notices the broken rod on his counter, Max's old rod, and he thinks, as we see Max back at his shack drinking, he gets a knock on the door.
You see Max back at his shack. You did good with that.
And he gets a knock on the door. He walks outside and he sees John just going about his day, talking to everybody on the ice. He looks down and he sees that the rod has been given back to him as well. We next see John in his shack enjoying a record. He's sitting back with a drink and his fishing pole when suddenly the shack begins to move as we see that Max has hooked it up to his car and is pulling him across the lake.
This is what we would call the moment of over-escalation.
Yeah.
He is now dragging his shanty with him in it across the ice. He's not dragging, he's pushing it. He's pushing it and just running him across the lake to where the ice is thin.
Yeah, and it gets thin as the shack sinks into the ice, but John
he slams his brakes, lets it slide over to the ice. He has to jump out of his shack as it sinks into the water, which is just like I said, this is the moment of over-escalation.
Yeah.
You could have killed someone doing
yeah.
that.
So
Yeah.
John questions his motives, reminding him of the poll, but Max is clearly upset that John has stolen the love of his life. The two then get into a fist fight, trading a couple swings and punches as the group forms around them, rooting them on. They then slip on the ice together, and the group disperses as John throws one final punch, and they argue over the woman of their past before the two forget what they were fighting about. Max questions then if John and Ariel have slept together, and John tries to escape the question, but then admits they had sex, and it was the greatest he's had in the longest time.
Yeah. No, he says it was the best sex of my life.
Best sex
That's
of my
what he
life,
says,
yeah. Max then goes to attack him with a frozen fish, but it's broken up as Grandpa Gustafson tells them to stop, put down the fish.
Oh my God. When Burgess Meredith comes out and says, "Stop that right now," he goes, "Mr. Gustafson."
They're 60 years old and still afraid of his dad.
They're both retired. And when Gustafson's dad goes, "What are you boys doing?" He goes, "Mr. Gustafson, I'm sorry."
So he breaks it up, and Max is defeated by the questions, and he knows that he's going to take, he asks her, how is he going to take care of her when the IRS seizes the house, walking off saying that he doesn't have time to go look for another woman. So he's mad at John for stealing what he thinks is the love of his life at his age.
For stealing another
yeah.
love of his life.
Because
that's where we're heading to. Yeah.
We do find out that they, did he cheat with his wife? Is that what happened?
No. They just both wanted the same girl.
Okay.
And Lemon's character ended up with the
her,
girl.
Yeah.
But his immediate response was like, she was no easy person to be married to. She wasn't the best wife.
Yeah,
she wasn't the best wife ever. And then he mentions, even points out that Mathau's wife was like really a good person. Because during the Thanksgiving episode or part, everybody's talking about how wonderful she was. She's a great cook. She was a loving mother. She was very kind.
Yeah.
And Mathau's obviously never been the same since he lost her. So now we realize that Jack Lemmon ended up winning the girl all those years ago.
Mathau wanted.
And that it's very clear Lemmon doesn't feel, not necessarily because the marriage was hard, because even Lemmon, when he's talking to his daughter about being married, he says like, marriage is hard. It's really difficult work or whatever. But he feels bad because he knows that Mathau always kind of never got over it, obviously, because their competition never ended.
Yeah.
And now he's like, why should I take it from him again?
Yeah.
That's the way he feels. And that honestly hits me so hard. But then that's where things take a real harsh turn, because now Lemmon is basically just going through the motions again. All that liveliness is just totally gone.
It's gone.
And he's just, going through the door, going through the whatever. And meanwhile, Mathau is living it up, being friends with this woman.
Yeah.
And having a great time.
Yeah, and he wants that extra step, so that's why he still holds hostility towards him, is because he knows that she's falling for him, but he wants her the most. So later that night, we see John sitting alone in his chess set as Max comes to the window. He shuts the light off, going back to their old portrait, saying, "This time, Max, I'm going to let you win." He's stopped by going up the steps as Ariel tells him that she's brought the date to him if they're not going to go out, revealing a painting that she made for him of two people making snow angels, stating that he inspired it for her.
And this scene is really painful because he basically tells her she is pushing herself on him.
Yeah.
He doesn't want her around, and that's the meanest part. That she is the one who can't stand being
Afraid
alone,
to be alone.
but he's fine with it, and he'd rather be alone.
Yeah.
And she and you got to think about it from the context of the story. She appears to be this free spirit, and she is.
Yeah.
But when she mentions that she hasn't slept with anybody since her husband's been gone 5 years.
Yeah.
That's when you realize that she really opened herself up and was vulnerable.
Yeah.
And now Jack Lemmon's character saying, like, I don't want anything to do with you is really devastating.
It's really heartbreaking.
And she storms across the street, throws the painting on the ground, and Mathau sees it all.
Mathau sees it all.
Yeah.
So the next morning, we see John in his car getting a paper, getting his tax papers gathered. Jacob greets him, holding presents, as John congratulates him on his win and invites him over for Christmas Eve. So we're on Christmas Eve.
Yes.
And since Mel will be there, he would love for those two to hook up again. We then see Max and Ariel return on her Ski-Doo, both having a bunch of fun. John goes into his house with his papers, and we see Mel arrive that night with Mike, her husband, who we were supposed to heard about them getting separated.
Yeah. Yeah, they were separated, not divorced.
Yeah.
Separated.
So it tells John they're working things out, but John isn't having it, questioning his methods on making up his mind and asking if everybody should put their lives on hold while he works things out. Mel tries to explain it to him as John admits that the house is being taken from him and his pension is gone, and he tells Mel that if she sees a chance at a good life to grab for it. He then tells her that he's going to go to, what's the bar? Slippery's.
Slippery's, yeah.
And that he'll be back later.
Yeah, he's basically very disappointed in her for being back with this jerkwad husband.
Yeah.
Granted, he is the father of her child, but he's very mean to him.
It's Christopher McDonald. We should point that out.
The quintessential dickhead of the 90s, actor-wise. I'm sure he's got to be so nice.
He's the
for
nicest
how
guy
mean
from what
he
I've
is.
heard, yeah.
And so he storms off to the bar.
But Jacob stops him, and that's when, Jacob's like, should I come in? And he's like, oh, yeah, go ahead, not knowing that Mike is there.
Yeah, and that's heartbreaking, too.
Because he brought broccoli for mistletoe substitute.
And it's worth mentioning, they mention in passing, he won the mayor election.
He is the mayor.
He is the mayor of the town now.
So Jacob goes inside, and he's got this little piece of broccoli, and he's like, I couldn't find any mistletoe, so they share a kiss as Mike comes around the corner, unveiling to Jacob that he's here. So then
she kisses him on the cheek.
She kisses him on the cheek, yes. So he goes. We see that Max asks what's going on, and John tells him that he tried to steal Ariel from him, adding that the door is open and he knows where to find him. Jacob tells him that he should go down to Slippery's and apologize to John, or at least check on him because it's Christmas.
Yeah, and this is where the emotions get really heavy.
Yeah.
And this is really where the movie hits its stride and kind of gets us to where, I don't know, I love this part.
This is the best. So at Slippery's, we see John sipping a beer as Max enters, wishing a Merry Christmas before sitting down with them, talking about Melanie and Mike getting back together, but John tells him they're getting a divorce. Max tells him he came to tell him some things, and John tells him to spit it out, which frustrates Max, and he scoots down from the bar from him, but he says that he was going to thank him, questioning John to say thank him. John asks Max if he loves Ariel, adding that it would make the whole thing worthwhile if he does. Max wants to think it's still about the fishing pole, but John says he's so damn blind that he doesn't understand, and he storms out telling Max that Max tells John that she chose him.
Right.
So then John walks out into the falling snow, and Max is still sitting at the bar sipping his beer as he goes off to chase after him. We then see John start to experience a heart attack as he's walking across the way. He falls into the snow as Max is slowly trekking back after him. He finds John in the snow, and John is still coherent as he tells him to wait. He'll be right back. He runs to the front door of the home that they're in front of, asks for somebody to call the hospital. Yeah. We see them next to the hospital as Max questions the nurse where John is, and the nurse questions if he's friend or family.
Yeah, and it's a really incredible moment.
He thinks for a second before admitting a friend. And we see that she takes him to the room, and we see John is hooked up to a bunch of machines, and he's sleeping. Max wishes him a Merry Christmas. We next see Max going to Ariel's house as he tells her what happened, and she is next seen at the hospital with John, stating that she knows that he wanted to get rid of her, but isn't this a little drastic?
Which is a really great line. I really enjoyed that gag.
Yeah, John cracks a smile, and she explains her husband passed at Easter, so if he passes at Christmas, she'll just have no holiday to look forward to, adding that she can wait for the time for him to get better.
Yeah, it's very sweet.
Yeah, back at John's house, Max is trying to reason with the IRS, but the IRS tells him that due to his wife's income and the benefits that they received, that time, of like 25 years or so, should have been taxed on.
It was not quite that long, but it was basically that his wife had a part-time job that wasn't declared on the taxes.
Yeah.
So basically, he owes $13,000, but with fees and stuff, it ends up being $57,000.
Yeah.
So he's got to lose his house to pay the taxes.
Yeah.
It's obscene, and Mathau's character responds to it as this is war.
Yeah. So he's pissed off at the IRS, obviously, and he's next seen putting a fish in Snyder's car, but he's also barricaded the front door, causing Snyder to start hacking at the door, revealing that the roof has been iced over, as he does so well. Jacob then appears with a court order telling them that they can't touch the house for 30 days, but just as the guy takes the notice, all the snow falls onto Snyder, burying him in the snow.
Yeah, and we really are lucky that Mathau's kid is the mayor. He was able to stop them for a little while.
Yeah, for 30 days, they have time to save the house. So Jacob looks over at Max and Ariel that are cheering from the snow falling down. We next see them outside of a church as Jacob and Mel arrive, and they play this scene so brilliantly because...
Oh, yeah, everybody's wearing black.
Yeah.
Everybody looks off.
Yeah.
And they really make you think it's a funeral.
Yes.
They really fake you out.
Oh, and Jacob tells Mel that he's sorry to hear about the divorce, and Mel says that she's doing okay, but they're interrupted as Grandpa Goofson tells them to get their asses inside, revealing that John and Ariel are getting married.
Yeah, it's a great fake out. And I love the two because it's easy to fake them out too, because it's like, well, why is everyone wearing black? Oh,
Yeah.
that's just their winter coats,
Yeah.
dude. It's their winter coats.
So the wedding goes off as the happy couple walks out. Mac hands John an envelope for $13,000, telling him not to get too excited because it's only a loan.
Yeah, don't get too excited. That's a loan.
Yeah, and he bets him that he can't get it up the whole trip, and he tells him that they're on.
You're on.
We then see Max and Ariel get into the limo. They begin kissing each other, but John starts to smell something, and Max watches that the limo comes to a stop. John lets out his hand, dropping the fish out of the window as Max looks up and smiles, wishes them well. We next see later that night that Jacob is at the house asking his dad what he wants to watch, but Max comes down dressed to the nines, carrying a bottle of champagne, stating that the daughters of the American Revolution are at the VFW, and he's going to go see if he can find one.
He's going to go see. He might get lucky. Don't
Might
wait
get
up.
lucky, don't wait up.
That's a really nice moment where he's just so lively.
Yeah, and the movie closes as he leaves. Jacob then watches across the street as Mel is hanging one of the clothes in the window. She catches sight of him looking and smiles at him. He turns off the light and goes across the street, or goes across the way to her, goes indoors. She invites him in, and that is the end of Grumpy Old Men.
A movie where everybody kind of winds up where they need to be.
Yes.
And I just adore the film.
It's such a good movie. I mean, my final thoughts on it would be that this is an absolute rent it. I would say this is one that you're probably going to have to spend some money on because I couldn't find it streaming anywhere, unfortunately.
Well, yeah. But I mean, your rating is Rent It?
My rating is rent it.
I disagree.
You think it's a buy it?
It is absolutely a buy it.
I mean, it's a buy it if you yeah, actually fuck it.
No, it's a buy it.
It's a buy it.
No, this is like
It's a buy
a
it.
quintessential movie.
This is a super
Everybody
fun
likes
family
it.
movie.
Who would not like this
Yeah,
movie? No, I
everybody.
mean really, who would not? And I don't mean like, I know if you're listening to this, you're like, I don't like it. That's fine. You're one person. I mean
Yeah.
like, what subsection of human life would just not like
Not
it?
like this.
You know, Terminator 2, some people might not like it.
Yeah.
You know, it's violent. It's
Yeah.
got this or whatever. This movie's a little bit raunchy, but it
Yeah.
has a really good message about getting older, about taking care of your friends, about loving people.
Friendships made in the oddest of circumstances. I think.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
how and also it says a lot about something that people don't talk about a lot, which is how men who end up alone cope.
Yeah.
How men's friendships work.
Yeah.
And the idea of two older men looking out for each other and being friends is not uncommon.
Yeah.
It does happen.
No, it absolutely does.
Although the idea of two guys being really good buddies who bust each other's balls all the time,
Yeah.
I don't buy that as real at all. And I don't think guys really do that.
No, not at all.
No, not at all, you little fucker.
So before we close out, some notes on the movie. This was the sixth pairing of Lemmon and Mathau together in a movie. This was the sixth pairing that did 8 in
Sixth?
total.
Wow, but it was the first. Was it the first one in their Twilight years?
Yeah, the first one, I think 20 years apart. I think you're right. Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah. So after filming this movie in Minnesota in freezing temperatures, Mathau was hospitalized with double pneumonia.
Jesus.
Yeah. Neither leads thought the movie would be anything special and were blown away when it became a success budget of $35 million, making $70 million at the box office. Released on Christmas Day in 1993, mind you.
Wow, I mean, that's decent.
Went against Schindler's List, Jurassic Park, and Batman Mask of the Phantasm. I think it ended up in spot 4.
Wow.
Yeah. So neither leads thought the movie would be a success, ends up being a huge success. We already said that Martin and Lewis were strongly considered for the roles, but declined due to Martin's frail health. Meredith was portraying, like I said, 94 years old, and he was 85, only 17 younger than Jack Lemmon.
Years older.
Yeah. This was the comeback movie for the duo who hadn't worked together in over a decade. And once again, Mathau originally turned down the role due to the script and only agreed to participate when his son Charles convinced him. He was known to do that a lot because he was either just wanting to pay off gambling debts or have money to gamble with. So he would not necessarily decide on all screenplays, but he would have to have people convince him a lot.
Wait, if he had gambling debt, then why was he hard to convince?
Because he didn't, even if the scripts weren't good, he still wouldn't want to do it. It would somebody that would have to take him to be aside and be like,
slow down. That didn't make any sense.
somebody would have to take
Even
him.
if the scripts were good?
Even if the
Is that what you're trying to
scripts
say?
were good, yeah.
Okay.
He would still be curmudgeon about it, and they would be like, well, if you want to do this, you're going to have to work. So he was just hesitant to work a lot, which is why
If you're going to do what?
gamble. If he wanted to do his gambling
okay.
and
I
do
see
his
what you're
debts
saying.
and everything.
I got you now.
But yeah, that is Grumpy Old Men, 1993. It is one, like I said, you can't find it super easy right now, but there's a great and cheap little double Blu-ray pack you can get.
Yeah,
with
it's
both
where
of them.
I really do think this is one to own.
Yeah, and we always like to end the show with the recommendation. I'm going to go with an odd one, but I think it works. I'm going to go with Enemy Mine from 1985 because it's two enemies coming together to become friends. and work
Enemy
it out.
Mine.
Yes, that is my recommendation.
I mean, I love Enemy
Yes.
Mine. Interesting.
Two enemies becoming friends.
I think that the point of the movie is they were always friends. They just weren't admitting it.
Yeah, but at the same time, I like when enemies when two enemies become friends and have to work together to solve their own problem.
That's not exactly what happens in Grumpy Old Men.
They find their friendship and they find
They
out
do
what,
find their friendship.
what each other wants.
I mean,
because
Enemy
of it.
Mine's a little bit more complicated than that in every conceivable way.
Then you make a suggestion.
Gosh, I actually hadn't thought of one ahead of time. But I do have a few. I think if you want a great film about getting older, I think Nebraska would be a phenomenal
Nebraska's
one.
a good one, yeah.
It doesn't have quite the buddy element, although it's a father and son,
And
which
it's
I really like.
Really much of a comedy, but it's got some funny
Oh, it's
stuff
very
in it.
funny.
It's got some funny stuff.
No, it's very funny. No, it's a dark comedy. I'm not saying like you're
Yeah.
gonna laugh at. No, but it's a very dark comedy. But are you kidding me? Like the Two Fat Twins?
No, I
and
mean,
there's
I
a
said
lot of fun
I
stuff.
said there's comedy. I said it just doesn't have a lot, but it also has been a while since I've seen it, so I probably
No,
would be
Nebraska's.
for a
You
revisit.
just see. This is just Dave. It's black and white. So Dave's like, it's sad, right? And it was made in 1927 by Adolf Hitler.
I watch more black and white movies than you do.
You don't know that.
Oh, I do.
I just don't see race. I broke him.
Nothing.
I broke him. No, but so I would say Nebraska, or if you want to go a little bit more cliched, you could go About Schmidt.
Yeah, and I mean, of course, there is Grumpier Old Men. The sequel
Oh,
is just as good, if not
Obviously,
better.
the sequel.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a classic. It's so good. It's so funny.
One for the whole family. Like like I said, they played this on cable all the time, and my whole family would sit down and watch it. So.
Yeah, I feel like most of the stuff that you don't want your kids to hear, they won't understand watching it. So I think this is a good one for everybody to enjoy, and I couldn't ever recommend it enough. It put me, I have every reason to be in a very bad mood. It put me in a pretty decent mood.
It's a good movie.
I love this flick.
No, it's super good, super heartfelt, and highly recommended. Grumpy Old Men, 1993. Make sure you check it out.
So, before we get out of here, Double D, I got nothing. I have
Nothing
nothing
at
more
all.
to say. I'm tired.
I get you.
And I had a really hard week. But I am glad to be back. Appreciate everybody at Patreon for being patient because
Yes.
we just couldn't record on our normal schedule, obviously.
Yeah.
We didn't miss a show, but we weren't able to publish early. So for those who are enjoying what we're doing and want to support us, if you go to doyouevenmovie.com,
Yes.
you can sign up for our Patreon. And for $3 a month, you get every episode in... you get it on Friday instead of Tuesday. So you get it 5 days roughly early.
Yes.
Right now we weren't able to make that deadline because we're recording this sooner than 5 days
Yeah.
before. But no, I just want to say thank you for everybody's patience and support. Really appreciate it. And if you love what we're doing, send us an email at doyouevenmoviepod@gmail.com. You can get a hold of us on our socials.
Yes.
Everything is in the show notes and description. Make sure you subscribe, like it. And if you have a buddy who loves movies, tell them about us.
Yes, absolutely. And
So, yeah.
make sure to check us out. We also have our TikTok with Do You Even Movie Pod. We are on X, Instagram, and you can follow us there. And I wanted to send a special thanks to everybody on TikTok. We've been picking up our traction on our videos and getting a lot of fun comments too.
I mean, they're not people. It's just the Chinese Communist Party trying to figure out what our deal is.
Whoever it is, thank you.
You heard it here first, David Denoyer. Thank you, Chinese Communist Party. But no, and yeah, thanks everybody, and thank you. I know a lot of people watching this have already reached out about Chicano's passing. Thank you. God, it's been a really hard time. So I really appreciate everybody being so fucking nice and kind. And yeah, I'm just trying to get back to my life. It's not easy.
No, it's not. And we dedicate this episode to our grumpy old man, Chicano.
Yeah, he was the grumpiest old man.
He was.
So until next time, guys, we will see you next Tuesday. We'll be back with I know our final catchphrase. I named it after you.
Oh, thanks.
See you
bud.
next Tuesday.
Yeah.
But no, we will see you next Tuesday with Ravenous, which
Oh, yeah.
I think it'll really whet your appetite.
Hope you're hungry.
So we'll see you guys then. Take care.
See ya.